Have you spent most of your career as a doer? Were you not the person that actually had to go out and make sales and generate the revenue? Well, that was me a few years ago, and I wish I met our guest today on Let's Teach You Something before I started my company. He's going to teach us 3 tips on how to be a better salesperson. So today we're going to talk about cold calling. But Mark, you see cold calling a little bit different than a lot of people.
Absolutely. So when I think of cold calling, this is the biggest thing for me in life, period, is your perception of everything. So my biggest thing in life with overcoming challenges is to challenge the way I look at things. So when it comes to cold calling, I decided to look at it differently than what anyone else has also told me that it would, be. So when you think of the word cold, you think of temperature, right? Or you think of maybe lacking of emotion. Someone gives you the cold shoulder. When you think of call, it's not always related to a phone. Sometimes it's just a label or address someone. So when you put cold and call together, some people just generally think, hey, you're just calling a stranger. But maybe it's deeper than that. Challenging your perception isn't just about your perception. It's about challenging your perception of what their perception may be too. So if cold could be unemotional, lack of emotion, lack of warmth, and call is labeling and addressing someone, you're going to reach out to someone and you're going to label and address them with lack of emotion, no warmth. I wouldn't want to be on that call either.
Yeah, but I mean, even like if you're in a networking event and you meet someone new, that's in essence a cold call.
Absolutely. So networking, dating, interviews, all that is cold calling. It's all going to be where you don't know this person from anything beforehand. And then you're going to go in and you want the quality of that. It's just about communicating. You want the quality of that communication and conversation to be where you want it to be. Communication and conversation are two different things. You can 100% communicate without having a conversation. And whether that's in person or on the phone, it's possible both ways.
Yeah. So you actually wrote a book about cold
Yes.
calling.
So challenge your perception of cold calling. Don't let anxiety hold your success ransom. Yes.
So what do you mean let anxiety hold your success
It's a
ransom?
great question, Chris. So, in the concept for the cover, I also want to incorporate the ransom letters on cold calls. So, when I say by don't let anxiety hold your success ransom, think about what a ransom is, right? So, you don't know or understand exactly the entity that has captured something that's of value to you. Your success is of value to you, and it always should be. And your success is your attempt at doing things. You should always value your attempt, because if you don't, you won't give a strong attempt at what you're looking to accomplish. So this anxiety, you don't really understand this fear. You don't really understand this anxiety, but you've developed it because if you've never cold called before or you never tried sales before, what are you nervous about this rejection for? And it goes back to what you just said. It goes back to every encounter with someone that we're not familiar with is a cold call. So now you're placing it on the pressure of my income is related to me having to do this when I don't even want to. And again, look at that the other way. Who's receiving it may have anxiety and they don't want to have to deal with meeting someone new and talking to someone new. So you don't want the anxiety to hold your success ransom. So when you think of ransom, of course, you got to pay up in order to get what you want. So you have to give in to that anxiety and give that anxiety, that fear, in order to get through it. So some people would just say tough it out, right? I don't think that you have to necessarily tough it out. I think that you have to just readjust, recalibrate, realign what you're thinking. Your mental is everything. A mental health is all day, every day. Just like your physical health is all day, every day. Your teeth, your eyes, your hair, your nails, your brain is the same way, all day, every day. And you have to protect that. So being able to take a step back from any situation and recalibrate the way that you are receiving it, because you are 100% responsible for how you receive something. And it's okay. You can look at things however you want to. That's between you and you. And especially if it's going to help you get to your success.
Excellent. All right. So you're for our audience, you have 3 tips and they go by these 3 letters: R, F, and Q. Let's start with R.
Yes, very nice, very nice. So, if you are in the sales profession or thinking about getting in the sales profession, some people may have heard of RFQ before. Now, what I'm talking about is something totally different. It's usually like a referral for qualifications or reference for qualifications, something of that sort. So, what I'm talking about here, my R is going to be rejection. Okay. Now, a lot of people have anxiety when it comes to rejection, when it comes to a cold call. I'm not going to teach you how to never have rejection. Okay. What I want to tell you about rejection is learn how to forgive when someone rejects you. So this is going to help you a ton if you grasp it. So take time to think about it. But right now, if you ask someone for $1 and you say, I'm hungry, I want $1, and they don't give you $1, they don't know you haven't eaten in 7 days. They don't know the difference of your hunger from breakfast to lunch, or from last night to this morning, or from 7 days, or if this was the last shot of the meal before your dying day. They don't know. And you can't harvest that knowing they don't know. You forgive them for that. That's how you move on. Forgiveness is how you move on in any aspect in life. So when you're called, you should always have faith in yourself. And there's more that I could go into about, how you build your faith in yourself and build your self-confidence, but you should always have faith in yourself. Don't sell anything you don't have faith in, or don't participate in the sales process you don't think is going to, it's got to work for you. So when it goes to that, and you know that you have faith in you, and you know that you have faith in your product or your service, then if they do not want an opportunity to not just work with you, but to meet you, or even enjoy a conversation with someone as great as yourself, you have to forgive them. They don't know. They don't know. What they say, when you're dating, you want to win someone's heart over. Because until you can show them how great you are, until you can court them the right type of way, then they may not know what they're missing out on. So this is why you want to forgive people when they pass up on you. And sometimes you have to kind of have that cockiness about yourself and know that they're the ones that made the mistake. And if you realize that you have to forgive them and you internalize it as if they're making a mistake, you're lighter on yourself.
I mean, it seems like part of that rejection is you need to learn why they rejected you. Like your great stories, you didn't tell the full story. You haven't eaten in 24 hours. You were starving. You needed something to eat. You just wanted $1 to go get $1 thing at Taco Bell. So part of that rejection can be part of a learning process for
Absolutely.
you. Why were you rejected? It has nothing to do with the person that you're trying to sell to. Sometimes it's on you.
Absolutely. And that actually goes into the next letter. So in my RFQ, Q is the quality. So a lot of people are anxious and have anxiety because of the quality of their interaction, the quality of their call or their email or their conversation, their communication, the quality of it. So that goes exactly into what you were just saying, Chris. You want to make sure, you want to think of this, and I'm just going to throw some numbers out there. So one thing, I can't tell anyone how or what to think. I'm just suggesting things, and then you think of what I suggested and you compare it with yourself, and then you go, this is by no means do this will happen, but you will see a change regardless. So when you think about the quality of the call, you want to think about you picking up a phone and someone is calling you in the middle of your day. This could be you don't know. This could be an off day. You don't know. My cell phone, my desk phone goes to my cell phone. So this could be an off day. I've actually cold called a guy that was at his brother's wedding before. Okay. And long story short, I actually closed that deal. It took some months, but I did close it. But so when you call these people, a lot of things are going to count. When it comes to the quality of your call, you're going to think about, and quality was actually the third one. I'm sorry, but I wrote into quality because of what we're talking about. It's RFQ. But so when it comes to quality, you think about your tone. Are you speaking to where someone can hear you clearly? And then you also want to think of, is your tone important? There's a difference if someone is calling you and letting you know that your child has been hurt, rather than your child is in trouble, rather than, hey, can you spare a few minutes? That, you can tell. I had a guy tell me one time that whenever he gets voicemails from salesmen doing cold calls, that they sound relieved that they didn't get them. Now, why would you leave a voicemail if you don't want to hear back from this person? But they have made the mistake of dropping the quality. So they may have thought there was a quality as far as the actual engagement of the call and conversation goes. But then when they got that machine, they dropped it. And to me, there's also a standard to leave a voicemail, but I won't get into that right now. But yeah, so you also want to think of your volume. So tone and volume are two different things. You want to think of your volume. Are you being clear? They can turn up or down the volume on their phone, but if you're whispering, it's only so loud you can turn a whisper. If you're too loud, you're still going to sound like you're yelling when they turn it down. So you want to be careful with the volume as well. Pace. You want to be careful with your pace, how fast you talk. But inflection, add inflection in the right places. So some things you might want to get through and some things you might not want to get through. You get what I'm saying, how I changed it up there. So that's a huge thing, especially it kind of emphasizes the urgency of whether they should give you a call back or not, depending on how you take care of that. And then pronunciation. So, and a lot of people will say, well, who can't talk? We're adults. I got a professional, job. I'm a salesperson. Okay, that's great. 100% fine. Their name. Do you know how to pronounce their name? And what are you going to do if you don't? How are you going to get it right?
Oh, that's stress knowing people's
Oh my
last
gosh.
names.
Or how about I reach out one time and I thought I was calling Randy, Mr. Randy. Randy was a woman. So so that you got to know, so you can't say, hey sir, Mr. Randy, so it's a lot of things that you got to kind of take into effect when you think about the quality of it, and then also what you're saying. So once you get past all of that, I like to tell people, if you got the best actor in the world and you put him on Broadway, and this is going to be filmed in front of millions of people. People are watching him on stage. You give him a costume by Versace. You give him a script written by Shakespeare. But if he's stage fright, if he's camera shy, can't perform. That's anxiety holding your success ransom. So you got to be able to perform. So what I'm doing is just getting your mindset ready for action. Getting you ready so you don't have stage fright. I'm getting you ready so you don't be camera shy when it's time to go. You got to work up that script for you and for what you're trying to do, and incorporate your humor or your personality, your savviness, your flirtiness, however it works for you. You got to incorporate that. So
Awesome. So let's go back while I got us off track here. What is
F.
F?
F is one of my favorites. So we did skip around a little bit, but the order doesn't necessarily matter. It's what's behind each letter. So we got rejection, we got quality, and failure. Right. So when you think about failure, it's one of the biggest reasons that people don't cold interact. Well, why didn't you ask her out to the prom? I knew she'd say no. How do you know? How do you know? People aren't cold calling. Why? I hate cold calling. I hate people hanging up on me. I hate it. Seriously, I talk to people. They say, "Oh my God, you're a salesman. I can never be a salesman. I can't deal with that. I can't deal." So when you think of failure, it's different to me than a lot of people might think. So failure is not hearing no. Rejection is more like hearing no. But failure, by definition, is actually lack of success. Right. And then if you look up the actual, because this is all about perception. So if you don't know what a word means, a lot of times we just go by how it's being used in a sentence. But if you actually look up these definitions, it helps you challenge the way you look at things and the way you think. Success, by definition, when I Googled it, and it's going to be multiple definitions like every word, but there's a definition that says it's the good or bad outcome. Right. It's the good or bad outcome. So when you think of good or bad being a success outcome, that's just, you're just trying. You're just trying. Then it's the good or bad outcome of an undertaking. That's just a vow or promise. So if you tell yourself you're going to do something and then you attempt it, how can you worry about the quality of it if you don't attempt it? So failure is lack of success. Success is trying. You have to try. You have to try. There is no quality if you don't try. You don't know there's going to be rejection if you don't try. So you have to try. So when they reject you, you have to learn how to forgive them. Okay. And the quality of the call, there's so many different aspects to quality, like we covered. But the quality of the call, we're going to just say being comfortable, just to wrap it up, you want to be comfortable and you want to know what you're talking about. You want to make sure that you sound like you know what you're talking about. If you're talking too fast, they might think, why is you calling me and you're rushing me off the phone? Why did you call? You don't have time to talk to me. If you're stuttering or if you're pausing too much, maybe you don't know what you're talking about. It's not the company. I just don't want to deal with you. There's a lot of factors when it comes to quality. And then as far as failure goes, like I said, it's just lack of success. So you want to try and try and try. If at first you don't succeed, try again. You're a failure when you don't try. When you never begin, there can never be an end. So
Yeah. So this whole conversation started with a key word, anxiety. And you have anxiety usually in these situations because you're not prepared. And preparation is the key to success ultimately in everything in life, right?
absolutely, you want to be prepared, but this is kind of what all of this is centered around. So this is preparing you for your call. All of this is preparing you for your call, knowing that RFQ exists. This is the base. It doesn't matter what you're going to say. It doesn't matter that you got people say sometimes, oh, well, the toughest part is getting people on the phone. So they have these things called golden hours. I feel like that you are bright enough to realize when a good time to call someone would be. You don't call at 4:30 on a Friday. You probably shouldn't call on 8 o'clock on a Monday. If you're going to, I think Monday morning may be a great time for an email. People are catching up from the weekend. People, they may have think there's something they missed from last week, or they may just be trying to hurry up and knock some stuff down from today. I think after lunch is always a good time to reach out to people. If people are calmed down a little bit, some higher people in the company may have had a sip of wine or something on the lunch break. It's an actual thing. So I think that being prepared mentally is the biggest thing before you go into any script. It doesn't matter who, because a lot of people take being prepared as memorizing that script. Well, I'm here to tell you, one of my very first cold calls might have been the first one actually. I cold called a guy, got my sales manager in the room with me, and I also have a guy on the phone who wrote a book on cold calling. So he wants to kind of judge how I'm going to do it. Now, keep in mind, I have never seen anyone at my company make a cold call. I have never seen the guy that's supposed to be coaching me make a cold call. It's just all about me doing it, and then everybody just judges you on it, right? So how would you learn how to be a basketball player under those standards? You read a book on how to get it in the hoop and what the rules are, and everybody just stands back and go figure it out. We'll tell you when you're doing it wrong. So at any rate, I call this guy and I'm kind of, I'm stuttering, I'm a little nervous, and what is it? Hurry it up, sonny boy. What do you want? And yeah, and so he hangs up on me. I'm like, wow, and so I didn't like it, and I'm like, I got to get this guy. So I end up calling him back after, rehearsing the script. And scripts are terrible, yeah, but rehearsing the script and everything, and you call back, and it still just isn't a natural flow. It depends on who you are. You have to know yourself. Some people are great with that stuff. We call them actors and actresses. They're fantastic. There's teleprompters. They read up the teleprompters, and you don't even know it. Journalists, they're amazing. Some salespeople are amazing like that as well. But if it's not you, don't force it to be you. And what ended up happening is I bombed again after I called him the second time. So the next day I went up there. So here goes from a cold call immediately to a cold, in-person encounter. And it was amazing because it's almost like failing your way to success. You have to try. So I was prepared. We talk about preparation. I was mentally prepared to go after it. Not exactly how it would unfold. You just go after it. You just get on a bike and you start pedaling. And then what do a kid usually ask? How do you stop this thing? They don't get on worrying about how to stop before they learn how to ride. So I got on and I went in front of him, and it was like, how do you stop this thing after you keep going? And so you go through the sales process, and it was all still so fresh to me. And I didn't close that one, but I went through the entire exercise, our process, and we stayed in touch for 2 years. And I was just texting him earlier, and there's another opportunity on the table, and I realized where I should have learned to do this or that back then. You got to kind of just go for it. Just be prepared to jump off the porch is what I could just say. And that takes the mental, not what's going to happen when you land on the grass or the concrete, or you just got to take that leap.
Awesome. Well, this has been a lot of great information for our audience. How would someone connect with you?
So LinkedIn, Mark Akins, Akins. I'm on LinkedIn. I love to, connect with anybody, talk to anybody. I also have a TikTok. So that's something interesting that I started doing a little bit ago. So just there's sales tips on there. There's some life tips on there, communication tips. So just dropping tidbits on things that I think would really help people. So I enjoy doing that as well. So yeah, reach out to me on TikTok, Mark Akins, or the handle is challenge your perception, all one word, at challenge your perception. Or you could email me at gratifyingexpressionsllc at gmail.com. So it's expressions with an S, LLC, gratifying expressions, LLC at gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview and add some value to our
Absolutely. I
audience.
appreciate you for having me, Chris. You're doing a great thing here.
All right, and thank you for watching and listening. And we hope that you subscribe so you get notifications when new episodes are released. Have a great day.